This podcast is supported by 23andMe.ca, a personalized genetic service available in Canada. 23andMe reports provide genetic information based on a small saliva sample. Canadians can learn about their genetic information that published studies have associated with conditions and traits like celiac disease, cystic fibrosis, and even response to certain medications. More information is available at 23andme.ca.
Welcome to the BS Show. Are you ready to shoot the... The BS Show would like to thank their sponsors. Jack Cameron, accredited mortgage professional. Jack can show you the way home. Graco Impact Sports, providing top quality combat sport equipment tested and used by all levels of athletes. Dominate your world. RepoSales.ca, specializing in vehicle and equipment recovery, liquidation, and sales. Hemmings House Pictures, the global movement media makers, helping tell your brand story to the world and accelerate the momentum of your movement. Farmbox Films, capturing stories the way you want to remember them.
Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome back to the BS Show, the one, the only podcast dedicated to mixed martial arts and combat sports in Atlantic Canada. I am your host, Boyd Sharpe. I am joined, the co-pilot, exactly where he should be, Mr. Rick Trash Canyon Doyle. Rick, how was training tonight?
Well, I'm hanging in there, my short-peckered friend. Thanks very much for asking. Pretty sore, pretty banged up, but I'm still in one piece, and that's the main thing.
That is the main thing. Tonight we're going to be joined by Mr. Gavin Tucker, returning to the ring after more than 18 months away, injury and then recovery and then trying to find a suitable opponent and all of that stuff. A guy with a 7-fight undefeated record. He was the absolute talk of the Maritimes as far as MMA is concerned before his injury, and he is anxious to jump back in there and pick up exactly where he left off. So super cool for him to be joining us this evening. And we're also going to be joined by Logue out of Synergy in New Brunswick, and of Dana Dixon's club, and another undefeated fighter. Had a really tough opponent in Eric Norris in his last one and handled that situation very easily. Dana talks so glowingly about this kid. It's unbelievable. He says he's the total package and has the ability to go just all the way. So super cool that we get to spend a few minutes with this kid before his fight on Saturday night.
It is great.
So what's the deal?
Sorry,
go ahead. You go ahead for a second.
I've been looking forward to this interview tonight, Boyd. Everybody has their eyes on these guys. I know Gavin very well, as you do. We have the utmost respect for that guy. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a battle. And I can't wait to pick these guys' brains a little bit, find out where they're at, learn a little bit more about them, because everybody is looking at this fight.
Yeah, absolutely they are. And it's Gavin's fight specifically against David Bo Harris is sort of a perfect return fight for him. It's I don't know if it's a step up from Lyndon Whitlock, but it's definitely a guy who's going to give him a very different look, a very different skill set. He's fighting a guy, I think, who is ranked at one point number 7 in wrestling in the U.S. I mean, that's no small thing. He's a very experienced guy. I think he's got a few more fights than Gavin even. So a perfect guy for Gavin to step in against and see where he is in his return to the cage, and if he's going to continue on sort of this meteoric run up the Canadian rankings and then get on the international scene, which is where we all know and acknowledge that he really should be with the way that he trains and the skill set that he brings to the table. So, a belated happy birthday, Mr. Trash Canyon Doyle. You turned the big 4-4, was it last week?
I didn't know you even knew about that. It was. Yeah, yeah, it was. February.
I keep track because I turn 44 like exactly 1 month after you. So I don't know if I'll ever catch you, but I'm right behind you, brother.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, the big 4-4. We're there. Oh, before we go any further, I got to do a shout-out to my son, Zach, because he texted me earlier tonight. He's always keeping an eye on me, and I never got a chance to return it. I know he listens to the show, so I got to, Zach, I'll get to you tomorrow there, buddy. It's been hectic for me lately.
It has been hectic for you, and that's something that we haven't talked about a whole lot over the promotion of this ECC card. And before we get on to Gavin and Dee, I did want to pick your brain for a minute because you have not had the best camp, if we'll say that. You were on the card, you were off the card, you were on the card, you were off the card, and you had a rough physical camp and you had a rough psychological camp, as you said yourself. What's the deal? Sort of why did this camp kind of go sideways on you?
Well, I mean, this show isn't about self-promotion for either you or I, Boyd, but we do have
but Rick, listen, man, the average fighter is not going to be open enough to talk about the shit that goes on inside of a fighter's head and inside of a fighter's camp. You don't have that investment like other guys in looking at a career, and you're a very open and honest guy, and maybe something that you're able to share will help a fighter who's going to find themselves in a similar situation. So by all means, don't feel like you're hogging the spotlight. Feel like you're sharing from some very valuable experience that you got.
Well, okay, fair enough. This has been a roller coaster for me, Boyd, and I know I come at the sport a little bit different than most people because my life does not revolve around the fight. The fight revolves around my life. And that's just because of the perspective I have and the goals that I have. I have a lot of other interests. So I'm not that guy that's entered this sport with the dreams of hitting the UFC. So I recognize the fact that I have a little different perspective. But I'll tell you what happened. After the last fight that I had, I got knocked out in the first round very quickly. And it was a legitimate win, absolutely. The biggest disappointment that I had off of that is that I felt I could have put on a better performance. Winning or losing didn't matter. It was the performance that I wanted to give, and I wanted to show the progress that I had made. And when this fight came up, I realized I had 2 months left on my license. And so I said, it's now or never. And so I called for a rematch. I said, you won the fight. It was legitimate. You knocked me out. It was great. But I think I could give you a better go. So I called for a rematch. And John Foster obviously was his coach. And John came back and said, no, we'll pass, blah, 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 and didn't want the fight. And then John kind of called me out on the show there, and of course I'll react to that, obviously. You want to fight, I'll give you a fight. And so he had a fighter that wanted his first pro fight. I think he's my age. He really wanted one, and probably I'm a suitable opponent for him. So I took the fight, and my life went sideways. I mean, I got laid off from my job, which is just huge. I started the training camp. I had one injury after another, and my mind wasn't really in it, and my heart wasn't really in it.
And you can't be training MMA if you're mentally not there. Like, that's just, it's not a wise thing to do.
No, absolutely. And, I mean, it came down to the point that, the coach came to me and said, I got to pull you off this card. I mean, you're horrible. Like, you're not ready to go in and fight. He said, I don't think you want this fight. And he said, do you want this fight? And I said, I don't really give a fuck either way, to be honest. I don't care. And that's the absolute truth. I really don't care. I didn't have anything. It wasn't about money, because I'm not making any money at this. It wasn't about trying to accomplish something. There was just no reason to take the fight. That being said,
so listen,
I had to sit down and figure out why in the hell I even want to do this.
Let me interrupt.
Do
you
I have a reason?
We've talked before about how MMA training is some of the hardest stuff in the world to do. If you don't have a reason to fight, How does a guy motivate himself to put himself through that punishment?
Well, I know everybody
does that factor
does
into it. Do you think that was part of the problem?
Well, I mean, I know everybody does it differently, and I'll tell you where I went with it. And I've never been so calm about a fight coming up, because for me to sit and think about a fight coming up in a week or 2 weeks, to me, it's like I'm in solitary confinement on death row, and I'm waiting for that day to come when I'm going to be called. No, that's what it feels like, because the more I think about it, I'll overthink it and analyze it, reanalyze it, and it just becomes miserable for me. So to me, this fight, whether it's a good way to look at it or a bad way to look at it, I don't know. To me, it's just like going to bounce, because I worked in bars for years. I've had hundreds of fights, in bars. And when I went to work in the bar, I knew I was going to make $100 or $125 for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever the case may be, which is pretty good cash money. But I also came with the possibility that I was either going to stand there all night or I was going to have to fight. And if I had to fight, it certainly wasn't worth that amount of money. But nevertheless, I took the job, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to show up on that Saturday night. And what's going to happen is going to happen. And once I took that perspective, then was at total peace with myself. So I don't know.
That's really interesting. It's really interesting, Rick, because I mean I've gotten to go through your entire MMA journey in your camp with you, and I saw how incredibly worked up and incredibly anxious you were leading up to fights. When we get to fight night, you're perfectly fine and looking forward to what's going to happen. But in the weeks and in the months leading up to the fights, you're just miserable and beating yourself up mentally. So if nothing else, if you had a horrible camp physically, if you had a horrible camp psychologically, I think you getting to the point where you realize this now and you realize how you have to approach it, I think if you take away nothing else but that, it was a valuable experience.
Well, it's going to be up to the coach ultimately whether or not I'm in the right mental state and physical state to show up and put on a good fight that day. That's his decision. That's not my decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as your friend and as your training partner and as your corner man, I can think of at least twice, possibly even 3 times over the course of this camp when I actually said to Peter, you know what, it won't break my heart if you pull Rick off of this, because he's had a horrible camp. He's not going to be going in at his best, and I think he deserves more than that. And so, I mean, whether or not he listens to me, I don't know, but I certainly had that conversation with him on your behalf on a number of occasions. So anyway, as you say, enough about us, but great insight, Rick, and I'm glad you were brave enough to share that with everybody, because it's not the kind of thing I think every fighter would be willing to admit. So let's jump right into a guy who I'm sure has a fairly different perspective than yourself, and that's undefeated 7-0 shining star of Atlantic Canadian MMA, Mr. Gavin Tucker. Gavin, how you doing?
How's it going, guys?
We are well. I'm not sure if you got to hear some of Rick's ranting in the queue there.
Yeah, I kind of listened to it. I definitely don't. I just definitely don't share any of that perspective. So I just.
Well, let's jump right in then. Let's jump right into that then. Sort of, where is your head when you're say in camp versus when you're like right up to fight night? What are you thinking about when you're just kicking off your camp and you're just getting ready to prepare for a new opponent, say many weeks down the road? What are you working on? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm just thinking about my skills and getting better. You know, I don't want to be argumentative or disagreeable with what you said, but when you had mentioned, you know, you can't do MMA if you're not mentally focused or whatever, I don't see that at all. I think you make a decision to do something and you plow through. Things are gonna happen, and you know, you say you don't have fighting revolve around you have fighting revolve around your life, and fighters have life revolve around their fighting, but you can't have one foot on the boat, one foot on the wharf. The way I see it, if you decide you're going to do something, you got 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or whatever it is you decide you're going to do, and that's the decision you made. But that's just me. Like I said, I put myself in a position to do that. I'm not in Rick's shoes, to have kids and family and stuff like that to look after. So everyone's kind of riding their own boat. But for me, the thought process going into that is just develop my skills, tailor them to the opponent, and go in there and challenge myself, challenge them, see where we're going with this.
So how do you approach it? The days or the couple of days, or maybe even stretching into a week, when you really just aren't there. It's like whether it be an injury and you're coming off one that kept you out for a fairly long time, or even if it's just the regular little nicks and bumps that kind of slow you down over the course of a camp. How do you approach those days when you really just would rather not do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer at this time, because I am in the throes of it. You know what I mean? The carb depletion and all the unpleasant part, and it's not fun sometimes, And I missed a lot of stuff, man, from holidays to funerals to it's like you made a decision to do it, and you're going to do it. So when you start falling apart, you look for the people around you that are supporting you. You know what I mean? I have a wonderful lady in my life. She's definitely an extra mile on an empty tank, I'll tell you that. And I've got a wonderful coach in Peter. And when things kind of get confusing, I look for validation through him. I ask him, what should I do today? What should I do today? What should I do for training today? How should I approach this clinch? How would you train today if you were me? I did this, and you sort it out. You dig through the dirt until you find some flowers.
You made a really good point there, because you talked about a lot of sort of general things by leaning on the people that are around you and your support team and your coach. But then you also said, how would you handle this clinch? Is part of it sort of when you're feeling really busted and broken that you don't look at the big picture and instead you decide to focus on a little technique or focus on a smaller piece of the puzzle? I worked with cancer patients for a long time, and people used to say to them, how can you handle this, man? You got a cancer diagnosis and all this stuff. And they would say, it's just like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Exactly. That's right. And I think the overall message there is enjoying each bite. You know what I mean? If you want to be good at something, you have to enjoy it, and you can't just enjoy what it is. You have to enjoy the process of it. And I strongly believe that makes champions and highly successful people, because the process leading up to something is, like you said, very stressful and people fall apart. But if you're not enjoying the process, then what is the point of something? Unless you're content being miserable and you're some kind of delusion or strange person or whatever, then that's fine too. That's kind of, the world takes all kinds. So, but for me, that's something I work on. I work on enjoying the process, because it's not always an enjoyable process. So just like you work at kinks in your diet, kinks in your weight cut, kinks in your technique, kinks in everything, you need to work on kind of inserting and maintaining happiness throughout that process. And that can be as simple as some fruit, some carbs at a time when you need them. And I've experienced that just recently, or some advice from someone, or a big matter to do with your family, or losing someone that makes everything else seems so small in the grand scheme of things. And you remember, oh yeah, I enjoy doing this. I train every day because I want to be on the mats. And if you enjoy that process, and like you said, you enjoy the bites of the elephant, one bite at a time, by the time you hit that elephant's trunk, you will be successful. You will be a champion, and people around you will see that, and they'll latch on to that energy. At least I believe that, and because I have to right now.
Well, dude, listen, you're throwing down some absolutely incredible wisdom here, and I'm going to direct our listeners towards a couple of things that hit right on what you're talking about.
I'm going to tell you the only piece of wisdom. I said I'm going to tell you the only piece of wisdom I know. It's an old Newfoundland saying, and this: if I knows one thing for sure, I don't know nothing about nothing. And that's the best advice I ever heard. So everything I say is
that's Newfoundland philosophy right there.
Yeah, I'm not being held accountable for any of my words. No accountability for comes out of my mouth.
The rest of the people listening here will know that what you're saying, there's an enormous amount of truth and value to it, and I'm going to direct people towards three things here. Number one, the story of Ernest Shackleton and Endurance, ship that sailed to the Antarctic around the turn of the century, and those guys went through absolute hell for 2 years and still managed to find joy and happiness and a will to survive. And there's some really, really important points in that book that tie exactly into what you're saying right here. Another one is Scott Adams, who is really famous for the Dilbert cartoons, but he also has a theory about, just like you were saying, it's all about the process. It's all about the system. It's not about the goal. It's not like the Secret, where you write your goal on a piece of paper and stick it up on a mirror and all of a sudden it's going to fucking magically happen. No, it's about the fine details of the system and the things that motivate you to do the small things every single minute of every single hour of every single day. And that's what you were mentioning there. And I think that's fantastic. And the last thing is a book called Bounce, which also ties exactly into what you're saying. It's a book about how people can not only become good athletes, but can become the absolute best athletes. And again, it's tied very much into what you're saying about having passion and focusing on the details and not just wanting it, but doing all the little things that are required to get you to your goal. So, yeah, super, super, super stuff, Gavin. That's fantastic, man. Rick, before I run off on a complete tangent, jump in and have a quick chat with Gavin, because as Gav pointed out, you guys have very, very different perspectives here.
Yeah, thanks very much, Boyd. And Gavin, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
My pleasure.
I know you very well. We're teammates. I get the wonderful opportunity of watching you on a daily basis, which is an absolute thrill to me. And I'm going to sound a little biased on this, but you are one of those individuals, and I've said it before, it's like, watching Sidney Crosby when he came up through the ranks, and everybody gets an opportunity to see you, kind of stands back and says, wow, this guy is going to be something. I, myself, personally come from a very different perspective than you. I'm in the second part of my life and defining who I am as an individual at this point. And when it comes to things like the fighting, I have many interests in my life. That's just one of them. And when I get faced with adversity in my normal everyday life, that can spill over into my fighting. And I tend to go off on my own and refocus myself and then come back. How do you deal with what motivates you to do everything to better yourself day after day?
Yeah, well, I think we had a small chat about this at the gym tonight after you sat on the side there, and we had spoken about, motivation and things that are going on around your life during camps. And like I said, once you make the decision to do something, you have to love it. If you're not doing what you love, why are you even bothering? Like, to wake up and train every day and you don't love that, like, why are you going to put yourself through the misery? And I see it as, like, for you, you're 40 plus years old. You don't need to be doing that stuff. I don't know any other Atlantic Canadians at your age that are doing MMA, but like you said, if you don't have the motivation, why are you doing it? Right now, you have the luxury to say, well, I don't want to do this right now. For me, I'm invested in it. I have no intention on even considering not being invested in it, because it didn't even occur to me there was another choice. This is what I want, and I've got big tests in front of me, but those are the things that I asked for. You know what I mean? Things are going to come up, and sometimes people are going to lose. I'm going to lose. Failure is going to happen. It happens to everybody, but it's about just keeping it going. If you love the process, the outcome is not going to affect and not going to rattle your cage enough to make you want to do something else. If you truly love it, if you love to win, or you love the crowd reacting to your walkout music, or you love MMA T-shirts, or you love any of the shit that's just not real that goes around it, yeah, sure, like, that's great. You've already picked, you've already decided, and I fought guys like that, and I've trained with guys like that, and you're surrounded by it. But I don't share a mindset like that. For me, I'm perfectly content training every day. If you told me I could never fight again, I had some retina detachment, I'll put on the gi and I'll train every day in the gi. And there's so much to study. It gets so deep. Like, you mentioned Logue is coming on the show, and his instructor Dana, who's recently a black belt, will attest to the same thing. Jiu-Jitsu, our instructor, our club, we've got a wonderful club at Titans, and just watching these guys go in day after day, rolling with Josh Presley and Josh Winsey and Chris White and Scott Rose and Peter and Kev and Aaron Jollymore and all of our black belts and brown belts and purples and even whites and blues. Like, there's so much to do. Like, people are talking about training and how do you start, like what do you do, what do you pick to do, how do you start MMA? You just do everything. There's a context to me for everything. I don't avoid white belts. I don't care if they spaz. I love rolling with everybody. Athletic rolls, gi, no gi. If you play 50-50 guard, I'm not going to scold you for it. If you like worm guard, like that's dope, let's play. If it's an MMA style roll and we're throwing punches, that's cool too. If we're playing, boxing in a phone booth, boxing long ranges, I think it's just a wonderful study. I'm just very attracted to everything that has to do with this stuff, and not for the reasons of the shininess of it or the aesthetics of it or what people say about it or if it's deemed cool or not. I just don't care. This is the process I'm involved in, and it's done a lot for me, and I'm trying to do a lot for myself.
Okay,
I appreciate it, brother.
Number one,
I know you're going to give back to the community, so. I take my hat off to you. And not everybody like myself really knows why I'm there, but I'm still there for a reason, so it's in me. and to watch a guy like you that will take it as good as it can be is inspiring. So I appreciate it. Cheers.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Same to you. Still have to go out and fight, don't we?
Gav, you've had an opportunity over the past little while to do maybe 2 camps with a man who should be world champion boxer Tyson Cave. Got absolutely robbed in his last fight, and I've talked about that at length on this show and on the MMA Madhouse other shows. What was the benefit for you of being able to do those camps and be a sparring partner and a supporter of Tyson when he's preparing for something at that level?
Oh yeah, man, that was a great experience. Not just for Tyson, but for the people that he brought in. He brought in a really great Mexican boxer, Mario Perez. He brought in Kevin, undefeated KO guy from Quebec, and getting around experience and getting around the boxing lifestyle kind of. I talked about this actually today with someone, Coco, who's been my Thai coach for this camp, and he's just an awesome pad holder and studier. And we were talking about being in Thailand because he had visited too, and being around the culture and kind of getting involved in the atmosphere is something that makes you more attracted to these styles and these arts. It makes you really want to get involved in the nuances and the techniques and stuff like this. So being around camps like that, I'm fortunate, to have pro boxers in the gym that are willing to work with me. Jesse McMillan the other night, he's got a bunch of pro fights, and he's tough as a hockey puck. He's fighting at 35. He did 5-minute rounds with me and just slinging punches. And the mentality of boxers is really tough, and Tyson shares that too. Tyson might not be the biggest power puncher, but in our rounds, we respect each other. I'm a little bit bigger, so we're not trying to take each other's head off. We're trying to prepare, and it's good to have 2 southpaws against each other. And a southpaw like Tyson with a certain skill set that can move the way that he does, who's a really naturally gifted athlete as well as a hard worker. People could say what they want about him, but he works hard. When camps come up, he's training hard, and he's going to get that title. He's not. He shares the same mindset. He's not going to be kept down by something that happened. The belt is his. People know it. Everyone that watched that fight knows who the champion is, and he lives here in Halifax.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite Tyson comment from that one is, "A belt's for keeping your pants up. I'm the champ."
Yeah, well, he's got a few of them to keep his pants up. He wears them. He keeps his shirt up with them.
So he does. He's not shy about showing them off.
Keeping all kinds of attire up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I saw Nate O'Brien walking around with one on a couple of days ago. So let's. So Gav, this has been an absolutely awesome chat. I can't believe that you were able to actually articulate that, considering you are in carb depletion and getting ready to start your weight cut. So I appreciate you spending all that time with us. So
I ate a kiwi before you called. I ate a kiwi before you called.
Good stuff. I appreciate the effort. So let's take a little chat about your upcoming opponent and your return to the cage. Absolutely no doubt, based on your previous conversation, you're 100% ready to go. What do you know about your opponent, and how do you feel about this match in particular?
Yeah, I know his record. I know a little bit about the way he fights. He's a wrestler. He's an All-American, so obviously he's good. And he's probably going to come and look for a takedown. If that's going to happen, there's things that he needs to address to make that happen, and there's more problems to address if that's successful. And there's no saying I'm not going to get the takedown. I'm confident in my wrestling too. And this is not going to be a wrestler versus a jiu-jitsu guy scrap or a MMA. It's an MMA fight. So I'm gonna make sure he's aware of that. I've covered everything I could possibly cover, mentally and physically and game-wise and strategy-wise and bad position-wise, and I'm confident. You never feel ready, I guess. For me, I've got a new conditioning gym, Pro Edge, that I really put my trust in for conditioning. Peter Martel, who's my MMA coach, I put 100% of my trust in him, and I let him tell me when I'm ready, and I let my teammates around me prepare me, and I trust in that team because I obviously biased, but I believe that's the best team in Canada, and it's a good fit for me. I've got Josh Presley on my back, and big guys throwing me around in clinch, and Scott Rose and Chris White attacking my legs, and guys sharp-baiting me for singles, and we're boxing hard rounds with pro boxers, and rolling with champion jiu-jitsu guys, and wrestling with wrestlers, and I've confidence in my team, so it doesn't matter whether I'm confident or not. I feel like I train with savages and killers every day, and I love that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do my best to love the fight, and I'm going to do my best to give people their money's worth that spent tickets, because that's my job. My job is to give them their money's worth.
Good stuff, brother. You have given a couple of shout-outs already, but I will give you a minute or two before we wrap it up to give a shout-out to any of your other sponsors and supporters, and don't forget Danielle again.
Yeah, well, that's first and foremost, because I don't know if any ladies are listening or any fighters with girlfriends, but they are absolute angels, mine in particular. She visits the gym with me and trains and takes videos and supports me at home and helps me prep and diets with me, and she's sat next to me laughing right now, but she's even, she's here for this interview, sat at the table and drinking nice green tea with me, so that's the pillar of everything. Obviously, my home gym, Titans MMA, because all the boys there are putting in time with me and helping me get ready. Pro Edge Conditioning, I'm feeling great. We're doing 5-5s hard, and everything seems to be lining up good. The Seahorse Tavern downtown, great sponsor. Nova Physio, where I go to get fixed up. I've been there this morning for acupuncture, and I'm going back again tomorrow. We got Misfits and Masterminds that are shooting a documentary of Titans, which you guys should look for to be out soon. A little behind-the-scenes look at Submission Series and all these events that are coming up, and a little inside look at our jiu-jitsu team. Port City Tattoos, that's Mike Chalk, and he's done all my work, and he's fantastic. Skin Gallery, who's going to be showcased on the logo on my banner. The old Cod Jigger and Dynamite crossed over. Farmbox Films, who's helping me with everything from videos. Better Beard Company, who's keeping my beard soft. Wilson Titanium. Jack Cameron, The Way Home. Optimal Wellbeing. Ideal Bikes. Illville. And Popeye's Fitness. And I got to say, Popeye specifically is spoiling me rotten, because anytime I need something, those guys are there, and it doesn't even seem like staff. They're like my friends. They're just like, you need this, we're gonna make sure you get it and you need it and you're healthy for your fight. So all these guys are great. Optimal Wellbeing as well. I go see Joanne Osborne, Dr. Osborne, and she makes me feel like $1 million. I get vitamins lately injected right into my veins because apparently the pills don't do it. So she's educating me and helping me with my diet, and I'm walking around light and faster and feel stronger. So I owe a lot to all these names I just mentioned. Sorry, it's kind of long-winded, but I didn't want to.
Listen, man, Rick and I have said a number of times in the 20, almost 30 shows now that we've done that we have guys on who don't have any sponsors, and we want to see more and more guys with sponsors. So it's absolutely fantastic, and it warms our heart to hear you have to run off a long list like that. So that's absolutely fantastic, and it gives some of these other guys that are coming up with you and behind you some hope that if they put in the work and they beat the streets, that they can be supported as well as you. So that's fantastic, Gav. It's a privilege to watch you train. It's an absolute privilege to watch you fight, and I can't wait to call your fight on Saturday night.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Big hug to Danielle.
I will.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
That was fantastic. You normally can't get Gavin to open up like that. I'm thinking he's actually in the complete throes of dehydration.
Well, I was just giggling to myself. I remember the first time we had him on the show, and listened to him there. He's really picked up the publicity skills, eh? Yeah. I think the first time we had him on the show, he maybe said 150 words, and this time that was an absolute knockout interview. When I thought about doing this show, and I was inspired by what Skippy and Lapaki and those guys had done, I was inspired by things like the Joe Rogan podcast and whatnot. That's the kind of interview that I dreamed of having. So thanks to Gav for that. That was fantastic, and yourself too, Rick, because you set that up and you had some back and forth with him that I think made that interview go where it went. So good stuff. Fantastic. He brought up two good points that I think I'll integrate. Obviously, perhaps I do need a girlfriend. And and the second thing that I love, brother, is absolute total focus. I mean, it's not my thing because I have a lot of other things and I have a different perspective, but at the end of the day, that doesn't make my resolve any less. But it's awesome to sit back and look at something that you consider the pinnacle of what a person should be in the sport.
Yep. And as I rambled on about quite a bit there in the middle, it's not about focus on the goal. That's a myth. It's about focus on the system. It's about focus on the process. And you break that down into little tiny bites, and you focus on each one of those individually, minute to minute, hour to hour, day after day, training session after training session, and that's how you get where you're going to go, not by looking at some pie in the sky, vague wish off in the distance. Anyway.
And we ran a little long here, but I'm dying to get our next guest on. Are we set to go here?
Me too. Poor D has been sitting in the queue for probably 10 minutes now. D, whatever you do, please don't tell Dana we made you wait, because that monster will get me the next time he sees me.
Yeah, I don't think you would do that.
He's actually just a big cuddly bear, right? Is that pretty accurate assessment?
That's a good guy.
Okay, D,
sure,
we have not had an opportunity to have you on the show before, correct?
Correct.
We tried to get you, I think, probably before you fought Eric Norris, and it just didn't work out. Since then, you have beaten Mr. Norris in an extremely impressive fight. I thought that was going to be a real close contest that was going to go multiple rounds. I picked you to win that fight, but I thought it was going to have to be a very hard-won battle. But you were 100% completely composed, had very little trouble in that fight, and finished it within, a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I was in the first round within I think it was about 2 minutes in, a little less, but it ended up being as good as it could have went. It was close on the feet for a second, and I got to throw a couple kicks that felt pretty good. I never really got to land any punches, but it went well. As soon as I took him down, I just felt like he didn't want to get punched maybe, and he gave up his back, and after that it wasn't long that I sunk the choke him. Did take a little bit of fighting, though. He did block it pretty good.
Yeah, and I would give him more credit than that, because those Norris boys are tough as fucking nails, so I don't think he minded getting hit. I think you just had a game plan that you implemented successfully enough that you won the fight easily, but I don't think it was because he was giving it up. So kudos on you for getting that. So let's take a step back and tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how old are you, and what's your record, and how did you get into this, getting into a cage in your underwear and beating up other dudes?
I'm 21. My record is 6-0 right now.
Amateur, correct?
I first started, amateur, fought all amateur fights so far. This will probably be my last amateur fight, I'm thinking. I have a fight on February 28th, but anyway, I started training when I was, I think about 17. I started training on the Woodstock Reserve. It was just like a little MMA program, and it was really just like kind of like there's a few MMA fighters there that had fought for Elite One, and it was kind of just a bunch of fighters getting together and doing circuits and stuff, trying to get in shape. And a guy, his name was Dustin Layton, he told me that I should fight, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to. Everybody kind of wants to that gets into it, And then I finally was like, yeah, I'd probably take a fight. I just kind of said that to him. He comes back a couple weeks later. Oh yeah, I got you a fight. I'd been training for about a year, and I was like, yeah, oh okay. Kind of, never really did a lot of grappling or anything. And he brought me to Synergy Training Center, and I trained there for like 2 weeks before my fight. Barely had any grappling experience, and used what little I'd learned in my fight so much that I just kind of fell in love with grappling, and I love all aspects, but it was after I had gone to Synergy that I really had learned to become like a mixed martial artist, as opposed to just like a guy that would just kind of could throw punches.
Did you meet Dana right at that time? Was he there literally in the gym that first day you walked in?
Yeah, literally the first day I walked in.
And did you kind of make a connection with him immediately, or have you just kind of grown to work with him over time?
Yeah, it wasn't like exactly immediately, but he was so open and nice at the very beginning that it was very something that I wasn't used to. I'd gone to a few other gyms and stuff, and I just hadn't gotten, like, I don't know, he was really open and nice about it, and it's shortly after I just like, I wouldn't want to train too much other, like, I like to train at other places, but that's always probably going to be my home gym.
How many guys do you have training at Synergy now that are sort of looking to fight or have fought?
We have probably, like, I don't know, 4 or 5, but we used to have a lot more. It just seems like with the schooling around Fredericton, a lot of them are coming around from like Nova Scotia and stuff, and just other places that there's not as many as there used to be. So I've been traveling around a lot more to get sparring.
Where have you been going? And not only sparring, but grappling, because I think you actually went south of the border for a little bit there in the fall as well, right?
Yeah, I went there. Yeah, I went to Maine. I went to the Maine skirmish. It was a fun tournament. I won that tournament in the middleweight division, and I won the whole thing.
What
I won
belt
the absolute
level?
division and everything. I was in the intermediate level, and but I won the absolute, so it was like against everybody. So it was a pretty good accomplishment. It felt really good. I submitted everybody that I went with. 5
Fantastic!
matches.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I went back down to Maine. I trained at Bangor at Team Irish. It's Marcus Davis's gym down there. I got to get some training in there. There was a UFC fighter that trains there, Tim Bosch. And I also have to give a shout out to the Wolf Run team. I went down to PEI and trained there for 2.5 weeks, and there were nothing but great guys down there. Really, really good guys. Really welcoming there as well.
Yeah, Rick and I have toyed around with the idea of maybe making a trip over to Wolf Run this summer and doing a show over there and doing a little bit of training with the guys and finding out a little bit more about what they're up to.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a really good gym. It's a good facility, really good guys. I'm probably going to go back to training there again, like for my next fight.
Awesome. Rick, do you want to jump in a minute before I ask Dee a couple more questions?
Yeah, great. Thanks very much for coming on, Dee. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, of course.
All right, brother. So I want to jump right into this. You are how old right now, 21?
Yeah, 21.
21, and you have 6 amateur fights already.
Yep, soon to be 7.
Right, man. So I got to dig your brain, okay? What motivates you to do this? What fuels you at your age to be putting yourself, your body, through this pain and punishment to fight? What's pushing you?
With that, I don't really know how. Really, it's just like my favorite thing to do. I love it. It's like something that I couldn't even get. Like when I don't get it for a few days, it's like my I don't know. It's just like I'm not in the right mood or right mind state or something. You know, it's like I don't know. It's like I feel like I was just I don't know. I love to do it. It's like something that I feel like I was meant to do. I was kind of like it's the only thing that I've ever like done, got good at very quickly, and then felt like it's just like it's like not a job for me to do, you know. It's just easy to get into the gym and train. It's something that's fun for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you get up in the morning, that's the one thing that you're thinking about that's running through your head. Is it difficult for someone at your age to be making the commitments that you have to make for this? I mean, we listened to Tucker a little while ago, and he's talking about the sacrifices in other parts of his life. You're a younger guy, but you follow a very similar philosophy. You know, are there a lot of sacrifices for a man your age?
There is quite a few sacrifices. You know, there's small things that are like, you know, you have your friends and stuff, but they're not small. But I mean, like, they all go out and do their partying and stuff, and you just don't worry about anything like that. And then there's like kind of bigger things with your relationships with people, you know, like sometimes relationships just can't work out because you spend so much time in the gym or something. I've had a few problems with that, but it's not nothing that I can't get over, because it's like the only thing I really want to do, and if the person, any relationship like that can't happen because of it, it's just going to be broken because of it, you know. So it's just something I need to do personally. But there's a lot of sacrifices on your body. You know, you beat your body up bad, but you know, at the end of the day, like, you just get to go in there and you get to go square off with somebody, and you get to put your will on them, and you get to feel people break under your will, and you get to feel like I don't know. There's nothing I like more than that. Like, it's just I like imposing my will on people, but like with training partners, you don't do that. Of course, it's like I don't know. I just love it, man.
So for a guy your age, which is fairly young, you've got quite a few fights under your belt. So in the last, how do you deal with it mentally as that date approaches? What is your thought process? Do you think about that day arriving? Does it bother you? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Lately, like, you know, the more fights that I have, the less that it bothers me. You know, it gets I find it's gotten a lot easier, really. I do a lot of yoga, and I do a lot of meditation, like the weeks prior to the fight. Like a week prior to the fight, I don't do as much training per se, but I'm doing a lot of cardio and a lot of other types of training. You know, I don't really want to be hard on my body the week of. And mentally, I just, you know, I keep my mind off of it. You know, I'm hanging out with my friends a little bit more, hanging out with, like, people that I would, like, normally I'd be, like, in the gym training, so I'm not out hanging out with anybody, you know. But that's one of my main things. Like, I just probably do a lot of yoga and meditation to keep my mind clear. I don't really, I visualize the fight a lot, but it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
I appreciate your insight.
I think you've done a fantastic job of explaining it, actually. Okay, so let's take it right up to the present day. Tell us a little bit about your opponent on February 28th at Extreme Cage Combat 22, and how do you see this fight going? Have you been able to gather enough information on your opponent that you have a particular strategy, or are you just focusing on your own skill set?
What I usually do for every fight, it's always the same approach. I train every facet as much as I can. I know that this guy has pretty decent jiu-jitsu, and I've seen his stand-up. It's pretty decent too. And but I always take the fight the same. Like, I'm going to take the path of least resistance in the fight. It's like I don't really have much of a game plan going in, but whatever feels easiest is what I'm going to go to. If it feels easy to wrestle him, I'll wrestle him. If it feels easy when I get him to the ground, then that's what I'm going to do. If the stand-up immediately feels easy, then I'm going to try to stand with him. It's just kind of the process that I've always done. I like to take the path of least resistance for sure.
Have you read any of Bruce Lee's stuff, and have you seen the Like Water documentary on Anderson Silva? Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds very much like you're in that same vein. That's super cool, man.
Yeah, for sure. I love all that stuff. Pretty much my days are spent if I'm not training, I'm just watching fights and watching I did a lot of Bruce Lee stuff for a while, but lately it's just been watching crazy amounts of MMA fights.
Sweet. Well, man, I've had an opportunity to watch you fight a couple of times now. I've talked to Dana about you at length, both on the radio and in private, and he's just such a huge believer in your potential. So we're super privileged to get to see you fight in less than a week's time. I want to give you a couple of minutes to give a shout-out to any of your coaches, teammates, supporters, sponsors that you have that make it possible for you to follow this dream.
I want to thank everybody at Synergy Training Center number 1. I also train at a gym in Fredericton. It's called Evolution Training Center. It's another gym. I'd like to thank the guys at Wolf Run for letting me come out and train with them. Thank the guys at Team Irish down in Maine. I also have a few sponsors that I'd like to thank. I have the Woodstock Reserve that helps me out a lot. I got Eagles Nest Gaming Center, Mousy Fuels 1 and 2. And Society 4 Clothing. And thanks to all my friends and my family for supporting me, and thanks to my head coach, Dana Dickinson, and Mike Fitz, and Brandon Brewer, and those are my main coaches but all my training partners as well. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. And that's it.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule, right where you're getting ready to make weight and all that stuff. We super appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday night.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.
Skippy, I think this is my favorite show of all the ones we've done.
I definitely, it was a very enjoyable show to listen to. Both guys were great. Gavin was a really interesting interview. I liked it a lot. I think I've told you guys once, I've told you a million times, man, you guys got the best show.
Cheers, mate. I enjoyed it a lot. It was nice to get the different perspectives. We're seeing two guys there that live and breathe this sport, and it's awesome to see. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, it shows where we are compared to where we were a number of years ago. It's kind of a double-edged sword, and I think the night that I got up on my soapbox and yelled and screamed about guys dropping out of fights, I kind of hit on the negative side of it, is guys are taking this so serious now. It's not tough guys getting in who are just willing to bang so much anymore, yourself excluded, Mr. Doyle. It's more about guys who are approaching this like a science, like a profession, right from the start. I mean, we were talking to a guy there who's an amateur fighter. I mean, he hasn't even turned pro yet. He's 21 years old, and I mean, he sounds like a seasoned veteran that you'd find in a stick and ball sport, whether it be baseball or football or hockey. I mean, he's honing his craft, and he's taking care of every single part of his life to achieve that goal. So, I mean, and that's why we're getting such good MMA. That's why we're getting such good fights.
And I love the opportunity, and thank you, Skip, as always, for giving us this opportunity down here, because I know that these people that we're interviewing do enjoy the opportunity to get on, tell a little bit about themselves, and thank their sponsors. That's so important. So I understand we picked up some new listeners in New Brunswick, and we hope to expand that area. We just want to try to help you as much as we can. Yeah. And thank you to everybody that's listening and bringing on, new people like the Facebook and stuff. We appreciate it. And thank you to Skippy and your gang there for giving us this opportunity.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure. I mean, look, let's be honest. How many guys have you had, and girls that you've had on the show, whether they be MMA, judo, just fans, whatever, that have given everybody great listening, great interviews, or have gone on to bigger and better stages in life, and you guys gave an opportunity. I mean, we talked about it before the show went live. A kid we've been following for years, Matt Dwyer, look what he did. He shocked the MMA world last night. So
Superman punch knockout, man. Superman punch knockout.
Yeah, and we were talking to Matt 3-4 years ago on Madhouse Live, and he, look where he is today. I mean, you guys are doing the same thing, especially in a part of Canada that is producing a ridiculous amount of top talent, and half the world doesn't even know about your guys.
And listen, man, Rick just made a comment about the Facebook, and my Facebook has been absolutely blowing up the past 2 days because I made an announcement just a couple of days ago that we were about to start covering MMA in New Brunswick. They have Elite One has a card coming up in March, and we're going to be covering that card. We're going to have the promoter on next week. We're going to have one of the fighters on for sure next week, and we're going to start promoting the sport up there as well. And they have a massive audience for MMA in New Brunswick, bigger even than we have here in Nova Scotia. So there are big things coming for MMA in Atlantic Canada, and therefore for the BS show. So we always give everybody an opportunity to give a shout-out to their sponsors. And now we're going to turn the tables a little bit, and Rick and I have big plans for what we want to do with the BS show. We have big plans for the work that we want to do promoting local MMA in Atlantic Canada, and we're going to need some bucks and some supporters and some in-kind support to do that. So we want to put out a call to MMA promoters. We want to put out a call to MMA fight managers, equipment companies, supplement companies, anybody who's involved and can benefit from promoting their company in the MMA world to partner up with us so that we can do something awesome for the local MMA community in Atlantic Canada. So reach out to myself, Boyd Sharpe, either on Facebook or Boyd Sharpe, that's SHARPE, BOYD SHARPE on Twitter, or drop us a note through the BS Show Facebook page, or on the Facebook page Twitter, which is the BS Show Canada, and we'll talk some turkey. We'll see what we can't do to help promote your business, and if you can support us and help us achieve our goal of growing the sport of MMA in Atlantic Canada, everybody wins.
I think it's a great idea, Boyd. Number one, I have a face for television. It should be broadcasted video. I agree 100%. And we'll have the wonderful opportunity of doing a unibrow check every week on you to make sure you keep that thing under control.
Dude, I already picked up like this huge pot of wax. I'm way ahead of you. I'll use more wax on my face than you use on your chest.
Skip, did you ever see you remember on Cubicle of the Cage when it first starts up and it shows Boyd in the very beginning? Like, that's a complete line right across the top, man. It's unbelievable.
It's the Groucho
I'm not sure fan is the right word, but as one viewer commented, this dude's got the Machida eyebrow, so at least that's something.
Hey, that's a compliment.
So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. I enjoyed the show. This has been a different experience for me this time. Not saying if it's good or if it's bad. It's just an experience. And
Jesus! You realize you just quoted Buddha?
Oh, really?
You realize you just quoted Buddha? Oh my God, man! Oh, I know you're short, kind of fat and bald, but I mean, you don't need to be dropping Buddha comments.
Oh, you're just starting to realize the genius that lies beneath, Boyd. That's all. But I have now become interested in because I get asked all the time, why are you doing this? And I don't even have an answer for anybody. I don't. but I'd like to hear these guys' perspective. What is your reason for doing this? And that's become my new point of interest.
Do you remember my reason that I gave? I think I gave it at some point over the cubicle to the cage. Why I did it? Why I wanted to do it?
You spent half your high school years shoved in a locker. That's why. I mean, that's pretty simple stuff.
Well, actually, no. It was more than that, because getting in a cage and fighting another willing opponent, it wouldn't be revenge against somebody bullying me. The reason I wanted to do it was because it was the thing that I had the most fear of. It was the thing that scared me the most, and I wanted to face that fear because, again, going back to the fact that I've spent a lot of time working with people with cancer who have to obviously deal with great fear. I felt that it was only by facing my greatest fear that I could grow as a person. Otherwise, I would just be hiding from something that was preventing me from being who I truly could be or who I should be. So the idea of getting in a cage and fighting another man was absolutely freaking terrifying to me. And when I realized that, I realized I had to do it. I had to face that dragon. I had to grab that monster from under the bed, pull it out, have a look at it, and do away with that fear. And I did that, and I feel like I became a different person as a result of it, and you can probably attest to that, whether or not you're willing to admit it on air or not.
The interesting thing for me through this process, Boyd, is that my reasons change. And, my first one, obviously, I wanted to have that big fight. And that's the same as my upcoming opponent. I hope I get the opportunity to get in there because he goddamn well deserves his shot. He's trained for this. And if I haven't trained hard enough for this, it's my bad, and that sucks. But, but this time, I didn't really have a reason for this fight other than I said I was going to do it, and I am going to do it. And whether that's good enough reason or not, I don't know. But that's what it is.
Great show, brother. However it all pans out, we'll break it down next time we're on the radio.
Cheers.
Awesome. As I say every week, that's enough BS for one night.
And remember to wear your sunscreen. It's a good song. Look it up.
Welcome to the BS Show. Are you ready to shoot the... The BS Show would like to thank their sponsors. Jack Cameron, accredited mortgage professional. Jack can show you the way home. Graco Impact Sports, providing top quality combat sport equipment tested and used by all levels of athletes. Dominate your world. RepoSales.ca, specializing in vehicle and equipment recovery, liquidation, and sales. Hemmings House Pictures, the global movement media makers, helping tell your brand story to the world and accelerate the momentum of your movement. Farmbox Films, capturing stories the way you want to remember them.